Hi y'all, my name is Holly, Nocturnal Sunflower, and today I will be doing a tutorial on how to put hardware in a hoop. So first you're going to want to start with the hoop that you want to put rivets and push buttons in, and depending on what size your tubing is, you're going to need different items. So if you have tubing that is ½ inch OD, then you're going to need an extra small spring button like this. And if you have tubing that's 5/8, looks like this right here, you're going to need an extra small button like this. That's right in there. And if you have 3/4 OD, you're going to want 3/4 or 5/8 tubing rather. So 3/4 outer diameter, 5/8 insert uses a small button. And for anything larger, so if you're using 7/8 or 1 inch, you're going to need a regular size spring button and a 3/4 inch insert. I know that's a lot of information. I can list it in the info section, and you can also check that info out on Hoop Supplies. I know that a lot of you have probably had a hard time finding buttons like this. These spring buttons, the only place I've ever been able to find them is Hoop Supplies. However, the other item that you need to put hardware in your hoop, these aluminum rivets, you can get these at any hardware store. So what we're going to start by doing, so if you have a taped hoop, then the first thing you need to do is find your insert spot. So I usually like to mark my insert spots off with some other tape. So you can see right here, I marked it off with 2 pieces of tape when I put the original deco tape on the hoop, and that way I don't ever lose the insert, because sometimes you do such a good job taping that you don't know where your insert is anymore. So I'm just going to go ahead and take a pair of scissors and cut through my deco tape. And it doesn't have to look spectacular, it just has to be enough for this to come open. And then from here, you're going to want to make sure that your insert is about even on both sides. It doesn't have to be too big. I'd say somewhere between this and this size, which is probably like about 2 to 4 inches, is going to be fine. So go ahead and put that insert in. And now you're going to use a Dremel style drill. So what makes this different than a normal drill is that it comes with little drill bits instead of having just the different drill heads. So what you're going to want is 2 different drill bits, and the first one you want to be a little bit larger than the end of this aluminum rivet. So go ahead and line that up and see, what lines up with this button right here that's a little bit bigger than the button, and what just about lines up with the size of my rivet. So these are the 2 bits I'm going to use. You're also going to want to keep a good eye on this Allen wrench that comes with a set like this. These are not standard. The little twisty guy right here, if you try to use a wrench, it doesn't quite work the same way that this does. I don't know why, some sort of magical size. So treat it like your baby. Alright, so moving on, we're gonna put our button head into our Dremel style drill, and you don't have to buy a Dremel. I have a Black & Decker electrical guy, plugs into the power strip. You're going to go ahead and put that on, tighten it in using your little Allen wrench. And now you are going to want to make sure that you're wearing a pair of safety glasses. I'm going to use my aviators, sunglasses, a pair of regular glasses. Anything works fine, but just protect those little eyeballs, because we're going to have some fast moving parts here. And now you're going to go ahead and pick one side. You can go ahead and take your marker tape off. And we're going to turn our drill on, probably to about 5. If it's spinning too slowly, it's going to move everywhere and you're going to have a hard time. So about 5 is a good place to start. Go ahead and hold this flat, make sure there's nothing under the hoop, and drill through the top layer of tubing and through the insert. Alright, now go ahead, wait till it stops spinning to put it down. And one thing you really want to make sure of, this drill spins so fast and gets so hot that sometimes it will fuse this together. So as soon as you finish, try and pull that insert out. And it's going to have a little bit of resistance, you know, sometimes it gets melted together and you have to go over it again. So now we're going to go ahead and take our insert piece. We have this little hole in the insert and put our button through. There's sometimes a little bit of plastic and stuff, and it'll come up, and you want that button to raise all the way. If it's like this, a little bit further down, if it looks like that, then you might need to make a bigger hole. You want it to raise all the way up and out of the insert. And now go ahead and put your insert back into your tubing. Make sure it raises up through the tubing. Just enough to keep it secure. It's not going to come all the way out like it did with the insert. And now put the other end back in. Take your other side of marker tape off. And we're going to put our different drill bit in. So with most styles of Dremel, you're going to have this release button right here. So when you want to change drill bits, you just push this down and turn this top part. It'll make a little clicking noise, and then you can unscrew it, take it off, and put our new drill bit in. Take your finger off that button and put this in. Twist it as tight as you can with your hands. And now give it a little turn with your oh so precious Allen wrench. And we're going to do the same process on this side. So go ahead again to about 5. Keep a steady hand, nothing under the hoop. Holding this down, safety glasses on. Alright, so now we've got a little hole in here, and before I put this into my rivet gun, I'm going to check it. I'm going to kind of roll it around in this hole I just made to see, is it big enough? And you don't want this hole to be too big. You should kind of have to push the rivet into it and have it just fitting, or else you're going to have a rivet that falls out at the end. So mine looks like it's a little bit smaller, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my drill bit here and I'm going to go around the edges of the hole that I just made to make it just a little bit larger. Make sure that your drill bit's nice and tight. Sometimes they come loose while you're drilling. And go ahead and make that hole larger. So now it looks like we have about the right size hole for our rivet. So you're going to take a rivet pop gun. You can get this at any hardware store. You can order it from Hoop Supplies. And this thing's a little tricky at first, but basically you're just going to take your little aluminum rivet, stick it right in this hole in the front. It's going to be a little bit loose. Even the smallest of the hole options on a rivet gun is not quite large enough for this to stay snugly. So just kind of hold on to it, turn the gun over, get it into that hole, and you're really going to have to wiggle it. That's a good sign. And you're going to give this one squeeze, release up. There's a little bit of space here. And squeeze down a second time and make that popping sound. And then pull the gun all the way back and the end of the rivet will fall out. And now we have hardware on both sides of our hoop. Now, a little trick you can use at the very end of doing this to kind of beautify your hoop a little bit. I like to take a little bit of black gaffer tape and go over the spots where you cut initially through the deco tape because it will be a little bit rough. And this also helps you find where your hardware is. You know, you're not turning your hoop around 1,000 times. Where's my button? I need to collapse my hoop. And it will kind of smooth out those rough edges. There you are. Looks like this when it's done. A lot prettier than before. And that's pretty much it in how you put hardware in a hoop. I know I've been a little long-winded, but one last thing before I let you go. Remember that hoops have a, they have a smaller limit, right? So they can't get under about 14 to 15 inches. So if you're making a hoop collapsible that is under 34 inches, it is not going to be able to coil down perfectly into two smaller hoops. You're going to be able to collapse it down and tie it like this, but if it's under 34 inches, it cannot handle being coiled twice. So don't push it, don't break your hoops, and enjoy all the places that you can travel with your newly collapsible hoop. Thanks for watching.